Okay, little cut. I was saying that this essentially goes into being how the Most High knew that our people would dwell in a Muslim religion. So he was talking about like don't serve those things, right? And it also talks about how we're scattered, right? He has Israel and Asia, right? Africa, North America, South America, doesn't matter. There'll always be Israel there. And ultimately, if you're in those places, right, you will always essentially go back to being Black, Hispanic, or Native because that's who the Most High's people are: Black, Hispanic, and Native American. So even if you're in Africa and your so-called forefathers fit these curses, you will be an Israelite, and your genealogy will essentially go back to being a Black, Hispanic, Native American. Like I was born in America, right, but I'm not American because my ancestry goes back to being in Israel, or my father's lineage goes back to being in Israel. He's an Israelite, so I'm an Israelite, right? And also, I'm aware of the 14 tribes that are in Africa that are of Hebrew Israelite descent, but might consider themselves African because they were born there or they dwell there. But all Israelites are Black, Hispanic, and Native. So if they fit these curses, and your father fits these curses, and your fathers, whatever, fit these curses, then you will essentially go back to being a Black, Hispanic, and Native, and ultimately an Israelite. So let's continue. This is the real one, right? It says, "And the Lord shall bring thee." This is 68. "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again." Oh, Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Right? Because you got to remember, we got this whole time we're supposed to be applying these to the so-called Black Hispanic natives, and they fit. All of them fit thus far, right? So Egypt, right? We came out of Egypt in our first captivity, right? But Egypt also means house of bondage, right? Let's bring that out in Exodus 20 and 2, right? Because the book tells you to go precept upon precept. You can't just read one line and be like, oh, well, that's the verdict. No, you have to, like you do in school and math and lawyer. You have to be a lawyer. You have to back up everything. I've always got to show your work, right? Exodus 20 and 2. It says, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. That's what Egypt means, house of bondage. So if we go back to Deuteronomy 28 and 68, and we see that it says, bring thee into Egypt, and we apply our definition, it's basically saying, and the Lord shall bring thee into the house of bondage again with ships. So you ask yourself, how do we get to America, right? With ships. Now, the natives didn't get here on ships. They were brought back and forth on ships, right? But they were essentially already here, but they still fit these curses, right? We got to America on ships. The so-called blacks got here on ships. The so-called Hispanics got here on ships, right? Filipinos got here on ships. The Ghanaians got here on ships. The Israelites got to America on ships. No other way around it, right? Thou shalt see it no more again. So after we got brought back to America, which was our house of bondage, we didn't get brought. There was no more slave trade, industrial slave trade being bought on ships like that ever again, right? And then you should be sold into your enemies. What nationality of people, so-called nationality of people, were we sold into, right? Esau, which is the biblical name for the so-called white man. We were sold unto him. So if the Most High is saying we would be sold into our enemies and we were sold into them, you then have to ask yourself once again, who are our enemies, right? Right. Okay. For bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, right? Now, buy is another word for redeem. If you look up the word buy in the Hebrew or buy in the old term, like I did in etymology, it means redeem. There was no one to free us of our slavery, right? Because buy here doesn't essentially mean buy. Buy means redeem, like I said. So there will be nobody to redeem us from our slavery, as you can see, because we're still in captivity here, waiting for the Most High to return, right? But these are basic ways to know you're an Israelite. Like these, if you fit these curses, 9 times out of 10, you're an Israelite, right? So obviously, we're still in captivity, right? Because we pay taxes, but that's neither here nor there. And yeah, also questions might be like, well, why did he put us in, why did he do this? It obviously he did this because we broke the commandments, but he also did this according to Psalms 119 and 71. See what that says. Okay. Let's go down. Right. It said, "It is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes." Right. That's why he did this. He basically punished us. You know when you go on punishment, your mom put you on punishment, your dad put you on punishment, you have time to think about what you've done. Not saying you do that, but you have the time to do such. This is our time for us to know our nationality and why we were put in the conditions we are, why we get killed in the streets, why we're constantly taking we always get the little man stick, or we always get the little bit of whatever the world has to offer, because this is the Most High. The Most High ordained this to be upon us for breaking his commandments. And we're still breaking his commandments. So the same things are going to happen to us continuously until we learn to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, right? So like I said, these are the basic ways to know that you're an Israelite. I hope you watch the entire video so that way you know if you're Israelite. You know, if you have any questions, DM me. I'm willing to answer your questions in a respectful manner, right, in decency and order. And I hope that you were edified by this video. And hopefully, you know, you follow, and hopefully, you know, you continue to be edified. And thank you for watching. Shalom.